Hey there, good morning, you guys. Sorry I missed you last week. I was awfully busy getting out of fair and everything, but I'm back. So I've been reading in Samuel, and Samuel is such a fun, interesting book of the Bible. It's an exciting story, so many things happen. But I was reading where the people ask for a king. And Samuel tells them that God is their king. They don't need a king like the other tribes, but they're very, very insistent. So as time goes on, and I won't go into it all, but Samuel is told by God to choose Saul as their king. And so Saul is anointed king. Some of the people aren't too excited about him being king, but then he does battle against the Ammonites and saves a bunch of Israelites. And so then they're like, cool, he's king. He's a great guy. But after all this, Saul is a godly man. He loves the Lord. He is doing what he's supposed to. But Samuel tells them right after they have crowned Saul king, he says, I'm getting old. I'm going to be, I may not be here for a while. But he tells them, you asked for a king. I gave you a king. But God didn't want you to have a king. And he goes through the list of all of the sins the Israelites have committed against God all of this time. And this asking for a king is yet another sin. And he brings us to their attention that you continue to ask for things and do things that are against God's will. But here's what I find so wonderful about it. Samuel says to them, don't be fearful. It's true that you've done something very wrong. All the same, don't turn your back on God. Worship and serve him heart and soul. Don't chase after ghost gods. There's nothing to them. They can't help you. They're nothing but ghost gods. God, simply because of who he is not going to walk off and leave his people. God took delight in making you into his very own people. God is not going to abandon them no matter what they've done. He says, you've done something really wrong. This is true for us too. We can look in our lives and see things we've done that can be said, you've done something really wrong. This was not okay. But he says at the same time, don't turn your back on God. Don't let that guilt and that those bad feelings cause you to ignore God, to turn away from him, to say, I can't do that. Sometimes when we have done something to hurt a person or something we know is bad, we kind of try to avoid that person. We don't want to face what we've done or what's going on. But with the same thing, Samuel's saying, don't do that. Don't ignore God. Don't try to avoid him because of what you've done. But, worship him. Serve him heart and soul, even in the sinful thing you've done. Continue to worship and serve him, and he will not abandon you. That's why Christ came, so his blood could cover our sins. But this is Old Testament, even before we had the saving grace of Jesus. God did not abandon his people, even when they disobeyed. So remember that. He's on your side no matter what. Have a great week, guys.